moving from one production roasting apparatus to another production roasting apparatus can be quite a daunting thing. And it's not something that I've done often through the tenure of my business, which has been running now for 15 years. I started off with a 3 kilo Diedrich roaster. I then moved, after 3 years on that, onto our Probat, which I've been roasting on for a decade. And now I've begun roasting on the Loring S15 Falcon. In each one of those transitions, there has been a fairly significant difference in the methods in which you would employ to roast. Not only are the methods in which you apply heat different, the standard workflow ergonomics are very different as well. So this video is more about a couple of the bumps in the road that I've noted when moving from the Probat onto the Loring, just so that you can be forewarned. It's the sort of things that maybe the marketing people don't necessarily tell you. Now, I'm not saying that the transition has been difficult or will be hard. It's just little things that you might need to consider, or if you've got the ability to do some slot roasting before you move on to a Loring, go and do it. It means then your transitional phase can be faster, and you may be able to circumnavigate a couple of the cock-ups that you can make during a live roasted batch. So, a couple of things. You'll note that the trier is a bit different. This trier is a spring-loaded one. So I still haven't, and we're 3 weeks in, I still haven't quite got the dexterity when it comes to extracting beans from the roasting environment. Now on my Probat, same too on the Diedrich, the trier was gravity weighted. It's angled at a short angle, so as soon as you drop the trier back into its trying hole, you'll find that it just slots in easily. This is horizontally aligned. It's sprung loaded because inside of here is a oxygenless environment, and you don't want anything, don't want any of the ambient air getting in. Getting this in, selecting beans from the trier, smelling them if you choose, or checking your color, and then getting it back in is a bit difficult. Not because the action is difficult per se, it's just so different from a standard drum roaster that you will find that you get stuck. And what I mean by stuck is that some of the beans will fill this trying part and very easily get stuck inside of this the trier chamber. So that is something to practice with. It's something that I've tripped up over, so that's noted. Second, when you're using your drum override door button, which is the thing that I've been using, versus one of the opening or roast drum opening buttons on the LCD screen, is that in a normal button press, maybe just through the other actions that I take in the roaster, you would press the button. Now this, you've got to long press for a couple of seconds. So that's something that you've got to be mindful of when you're actually trying to exit a roasted batch under manual instruction. Press and hold for a couple of seconds. I count 2 or 3 seconds. You'll see the drum door opening, you release, and away you go. So there's that. The LCD screen, as intuitive as it is, can sometimes trip you up. Now I've been tripped up because I'm a 40-year-old guy, and I'm not particularly great with these sorts of interfaces. But being mindful of which buttons you're pressing in the early phases of learning the equipment is something that you've got to keep an eye on. I tend to wear ear defenders when I'm roasting. The ear defenders allow me to be able to hear things better after I've finished roasting. Obviously, it protects your ears. But I have been caught out a couple of times when I've been lifting the green and I've had the lift green button selected. I've had my ear defenders on. Sometimes I'm playing a little bit of music and I haven't spotted audibly the fact that the lift cycle is still running. Now, the way that I'm going to action that, because I don't want to take my ear defenders off, is I'm actually going to run shorter degree of seconds on the lift cycle. It's currently programmed at 120 seconds, and I'll probably bring that down to 60. the impact on this roaster, if the lift cycle is still running when you're in a position to get the next batch in, is that the next batch will not load. If you're using the auto function, it will not load with the lift cycle still running. So there have been 2 batches that I have been caught out not actually getting on with the batch because stupidly I've still had the lift green selector going. A quirk with the agitator paddles, they're a little clunky. I think I prefer the Probat ones. Maybe that's just because I've spent 10 years on them, but be mindful about the paddles. They're a bit noisy and a bit clunky. Beans get stuck in your exit chute, so do keep an eye on that. Again, the Probat was a bit more intuitive in that gravity fed sense. So yeah, just be mindful of that. The other thing is just the sequence of events inside of the Loring. It is very different than what I've been used to on my 10-year-old Probat. So do spend some time with some old coffee, roasting through as many batches as you can with your old coffee, getting used to the buttons that you're pressing. This was just a very short video to just make a couple of statements based on some of the learnings that I've had over the past 3 to 4 weeks of trying to move from my Probat onto the Loring, and the quirks that I have tripped over myself with. Beyond that, it's been a delightful machine. The roasted coffee is fantastic so far. Anyway, there we are. There was a brief description. Enjoy your new roaster. Cheers.